Unapologetic liberal talk. It's Tarabuster with Tara Devlin.
Yo, 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 what's happening? We're back. It's only been a few hours. Nice to see everybody. The camera's a little off. Should I move it like that? Yeah, okay, we meet here. This is our Friday night gathering. We meet here every Friday at this time, 8:30-ish Eastern time on the Tarabuster YouTube channel and on the Substack, Tarabuster Substack, Political Voices Network Substack. And thank you for hanging out. I see Jim in the chat room. Thank you so much for being here, Jim, and keeping us safe. Earlier today, we had we had quite the influx of fascists. I don't know why. We had the anti-fascist book club. Maybe that's why it attracted them. They thought the fascists needed to get in there and defend themselves. They don't defend themselves, though. They, as Redfoot mentioned, it's like they lay a fart. That's all they do. They go into a nice, polite company and they just let her rip with the anal gas, as I like to call it. The technical term, anal wind. All right, we're devolving into. Well, aren't we devolving? We have a Manbaby as a so-called president. I wouldn't be surprised if we're all regressing back to the 8th grade. So let me start by saying thank you to Charlie from APS Radio News and APS Radio for all you do to keep the show going and growing. Check out APS Radio. You just go to APS Radio, download the little app, and listen to classic rock and oldies all day long. Just keep it on in the background. And then there's a classical radio, a classical music station, APS Radio Classical. So thank you, Charlie, for all you do for the show, for me personally, and for the community cats. So everybody say hi to Charlie. He's one of the good ones. He's one of our OG Tarabusters. And thank you for all you do. All right, guys, what else? Let's just dive in, and then I'll do more plugs as we go. I'm trying to get better at that, instead of front loading all the plugs. A lot of times I do the plugs. It's a good way to just get into the groove of doing the show. So tonight, Hal Sparks doesn't have a show tonight. So we will not be getting rated, unfortunately. Oh, and the other thing is that, but I do hope the Sparklers are here, because a lot of them have joined the channel, and they are a member of this community now, too, and I appreciate that. So what was the other thing? Oh, yes. Earlier today, I mentioned that Charles Derber was supposed to be on. He was supposed to be on. He's an author. He wrote a book called Fighting Oligarchy. He'll be on, and other books. He's Tom Hartman. He's like Tom Hartman, like writing a book a week. But not me. I wish I could write a book a week, but he canceled. I don't know. People are just canceling on the show. Well, last week we were supposed to have Malcolm Nance. He didn't cancel. Something got screwed up. We'll find out. Bella's on vacation, so I'm not trying to bother her while she's on vacation about it. But Charles Derber will be on next week. Apparently something happened. He wasn't able to join us, so I only found this out a couple of hours ago. And this is what it is. I don't have to... it's not like there's a shortage of things to talk about. So I wanted to... And you know how it is with Tarabuster. We just go with it. We go with the flow here. Hold on. There's something under my foot. I gotta move it. And there's Tara Jr. behind me, sleeping peacefully. I hope he continues that trend. Oh, shit. Sorry about that. If you're listening, audio, that must have sounded a little loud in your head, in your ears. All right, let's begin. Traitor Trump. See, a lot of things. I can't take it. I fucking just can't take it. I can't take the baboonery. I can't take the stupidity. while earlier today when we were doing the Anti-Fascist Book Club, and a lot of you guys came to that show. We do that every Friday. Nick Parra, simulcast Banner and Backbone, the Anti-Fascist Book Club. And for some reason, I don't know, I don't think I have two streams now, but I don't understand why that happened. This happened once before. I had two separate YouTube streams going with the same show. And one stream had our regular normal people, Tarabusters, on it, and the other stream had the fascists. A lot of fascists just popped in, and I don't understand. So I don't know if I have two streams happening right now. I haven't checked. I certainly hope not. But it was really, I mean, it's not an eye-opener because it is what it is. We expect them to behave like that. But it's just more confirmation, again, that they really do offer nothing. And it's so tedious dealing with these right-wingers because they have nothing in reality to talk about. They have nothing to boast about, right? All they have are pejoratives. And I was reading some of the things they were saying, and as Jim was deleting them and banning them off of the chat because they bring nothing. It's not as if they're offering some kind of scintillating retort or contribution. I shouldn't even say retort, or just having a normal conversation with somebody that has a different point of view. I have no problem with that. But to get on, like one of the comments, and Jim was deleting them, but one of the comments like, "You're gay. Are you gay? You seem gay." Like, what the fuck is that? And it's juvenile. That's all it is, because they have nothing else, and they bring this to every space they enter. But it's so fucking tedious. I'm so tired of it. Because and that's okay. Not to backtrack about what we were talking about earlier, but in the book that we're reading, wait, where the fuck is it? It's called To Catch a Fascist. To Catch a Fascist, and by I can't remember his first name, Matthias, and just Google To Catch a Fascist, and shit. What struck me about the first few chapters was so it's about a guy who infiltrates the Patriot Front, and he had to go through an interview. He had to prove who he was, whatever. So he had to come up with this whole backgrounder on himself and pretend that he's not a normal person. But one of the initiation events that they had for him after he got his first foot in the door, and he was interviewed on Zoom by national leaders, and when he got to the second step where he met his local assholes, they went to some diner, but in the diner the initiation was they went around the table saying the N-word. Okay, because they were like, liberals hate that, and if we say the N-word, that's how we'll know that if there's any infiltrators. So they all went around and saying and then they were doing push-ups and burpees in the parking lot. You're talking about, I think, 4 guys that went to this diner to discuss destroying the country and the fact that they're underwhelming little maggots who hate America and lack the fundamental maturity to function in a free democratic society. And that's exactly what I've been saying that for years. And if you read this book, it's another confirmation. I wish I was wrong. I wish that they were intellectuals. I mean, the whole thing is, it's terrifying when they pretend to be. And that's why they have to try so hard. And everything I say, I wish I was wrong, but I'm correct. The fact is, they don't have the decency to live in a free democratic society, a multiracial liberal democracy. They hate that. They're trying to destroy it. And they want daddy to save them from the responsibilities of self-governance. They want daddy to tell them what to do and to separate them from the scary, complex world. That's what it's about, being a good person. I don't understand how they could think that this is normal, saying the N-word, and then that's how you spend your time. And it's all a bunch of whining. They go to I haven't read the whole book, but you should check it out. It's pretty good. Hold on, here's the music. This is Tara Devlin. We'll be right back. Unapologetic liberal talk. Oh, and the other thing, they were on the chat earlier. Libtard, that's another thing they say, right? Libtard. There's nothing more tarded, I guess. I don't even, why are we even saying that word, libtard? And they're bringing back the R word. I told you that story about a friend of mine. It's like, oh, we're bringing it back. Fuck you. It really pisses me off. And like John Fugelsang said, oh, you're bringing it back? Go to a school with developmentally disabled kids. Tell them you're bringing it back. Let's see how you do. They're cowards. They're bullies. Just like they're baboon. And so I was monitoring, as I often do, study the Trumpanzees like Jane Goodall studied the apes. And I went into some maggot spaces to see what they were saying about Traitor Trump's, his tariff, the Supreme Court, overturning the baboons' tariffs. And they are upset. It's really fascinating to me. See, no one, and the other thing is, we've discussed this before, no one says that tariffs shouldn't be a part of a sane and measured trade negotiation, right? No one is saying that. Liberals, I'm for tariffs. You have to do it like a normal person, though. You don't slap tariffs on things that, first of all, has no rhyme or reason to it. And you don't do it because you got your fifis hurt. That's not how it works. This is why every time Traitor Trump gets his filthy clutches on the neck of power, he squeezes the life out of us. Oh, you want to? I'll show you how Traitor Trump comes up with his tariffs. I have a video about it right here.
Sir, can you explain?
Is that too loud? It's kind of loud in my head here. Hold on. You can tell me if it's too loud. Or not loud enough.
How you calculated your latest...
I'll start it over, sorry.
Sir, can you explain how you calculated your latest round of tariffs? Was there a formula that was used?
The formula was a formula based on common sense, based on deficits, based on how we've been treated over the years, and based on raw numbers.
Right? Is that loud? I have to say it's like blasting in my ears, and I'm having trouble controlling it. So you get it? His formula is common sense based on deficits, based on how we've been treated over the years, based on raw numbers. Okay, doesn't sound like anything that a rational adult should use as a formula, right? If you really want to make some positive change. Jesus Christ. Was that too loud? Tell me on the chat, because I don't know, it's hard for me to tell. Let me see. I should, 1 second. Life out of us. I'm listening to it myself now. Right? No one is saying that. What the fuck? Start over, sorry.
Formula was a formula.
That's not too bad, right? All right. Yeah. So based on how we've been treated, based on deficits, how we've been treated over the years. It was loud. Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. It was good to quiet. It's oh fuck. This is Ecamm. It's very hard for me to see hear the output, and the levels were very loud, and then I lowered them, and okay, well, whatever. I won't play that one again. So, but I do have other clips. I hope it doesn't blast people's ears. We'll figure it out. Okay. So if that's not the most ridiculous thing, I mean, we should all be embarrassed, frankly. I'm embarrassed to a degree, but I'm also, the feeling I feel most of all is rage that this baboon is in charge of this country. How dare they vote for him? And I don't know if you've seen, there's the polls that are out now that if the election were held today, Harris or Biden would beat the baboon by over 8 points, meaning it would be a rout. He would be decimated. And that's what should have happened. And we know that's going to happen in the midterms. That's why the baboon and all of his America-hating cohorts are trying to destroy democracy. They're trying to turn back they're basically trying to steal the election. He's still trying to steal 2020, right? And so anyway, let's play some of his meltdown today. And so when I was reading the responses on the conservative Reddit page, and then there were some comments on different, different videos I was watching about it. They're like, oh, this is bad. It made me wonder if the Russian bots weren't out in force, really. And because it doesn't make any sense to me. Traitor Trump is a liar. He's the tariffs aren't helping anybody. And in fact, of course, as we know, not only with the election, if it were held today, that Harris or Biden would trounce the baboon, but he's got low marks on the economy. People are struggling. They know he's a con man, and he's not doing anybody any favors except for himself. Since he got back in office, he's doing well. He's doing great. Him and his crime family, they're doing wonderful. The Board of Peace, we were talking about that the other day. I neglected to mention that you got to pay your way on to the Board of Peace. So it's all a grift. And we'll get to the other story I wanted to talk about tonight, or there's a couple of stories besides the tariff thing. I want to talk about Steve Bannon's latest grift. You see, everything is a grift, and they hate the maggots. That's why I'm so sick of the maggots. No wonder Traitor Trump, treats them like this. The con man doesn't respect the marks at all. In fact, you and I, we care more about the maggots than their dear leader will ever care about them in a zillion lifetimes of pretending to care. We're trying to help these maggots. We want them to live in a free country where they can be as stupid as they want to be. Be dumb, but you don't get to tell everybody else how to live. We're in this together. I don't want to hear, my taxes. I don't want my taxes going to A, B, C, D, or a gay flag or some bullshit. I don't want my taxes, going to 18, 17, 19 kids and counting fucking town. But I don't have a choice, do I? How about pay your taxes in church? Your church taxes, I don't appreciate having to support your 19 kids and counting fucking churches. Right? But we don't, this is what liberals don't do. We don't go into their towns and tell them who they can side hug. Why don't you leave us alone? Hold on. So, all right, where am I? Where is this clip? What a baby. What a little baby bitch. You know, that's the other thing that's so irritating about maggotry. How they pretend to be so manly, but they are such whiners. Right? Isn't being a man, in my estimation, as someone who's not a man, my definition of someone being a man is somebody who is strong, who takes it on the chin, right? Who protects the underdog, who isn't a whiny bitch, constantly complaining about how everybody's picking on them or done you wrong, when you're the perpetrator. They're so tedious, all of them. But the maggots that I saw complaining about the decision, it's so funny. So we'll take it a step at a time here. But they love the Constitution, right? Supposedly, the maggots, they're always pointing to it when they're trying to deny somebody health care. And we all remember how during the teabagger days where they were like, oh, you show us in the Constitution where it says that Americans should have health care. Well, there is that whole general welfare part, but okay. Now they're pointing to it and saying, well, the Traitor Trump should have the power to levy taxes, to, hold the purse strings, which is clearly given to Congress. You don't have to be a constitutional scholar to figure that out, right? That's why it's fascinating to me how the dissenters in the ruling, of course, how they twist themselves into pretzels all the time, and that's the role of the conservative justice system of the court, is to not justice system. There is no conservative justice system now, as we know. It's all in deference to greed. And the only reason, let's not blow past this as if Roberts is some kind of king of the Constitution. The only reason they ruled in this fashion is because the Chamber of Commerce wanted them to. The business community wanted them to. Okay, at this point, the business community knows. So if the business community, these greed-centered ghosts of the Gilded Age, these ghouls that don't give a shit, that will treat us like Soylent Green and use the American people as hosts from which to suck profit and discard, you think they would care? If they were making money hand over fist with these tariffs, they would keep them in place. They would beg Roberts. They would tell Roberts, they won't have to beg him. All they got to do is, I don't know, send him on a vacation or invite him somewhere to smoke some fancy, expensive cigars or treat him like a big man, put him on a fishing boat, right? They're all for sale. They're all on the take, these conservatives. So the only reason the Chamber of Commerce told him to rule against tariffs, why? Because it was good for the American people? No, because it was hurting their pocketbooks. And so at this stage, the interests of the American people and the business community align. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the big corporations, the big companies can eat the tariffs. They could eat the money that they had to pay a little bit and not have to pass it on to the average schmo. But that doesn't work for small businesses. Small businesses have gone out of business in this country, hand over fist. Now, thanks to Traitor Trump. He has fucked us. I hate to tell you guys. We will be cleaning this shit up for a long time. I don't know if you saw, there's the Canadians are done. There's plants, different auto plants are moving to Canada instead of the United States. And the Canadians are now making trade deals with China directly. what Trump has done is isolated us in the world because people don't want to deal with the chaos. Who would? Who does? I don't want to deal with it. Nobody does. We want to be left alone. We want to live in peace and security. We don't need a baboon or a baby one, a baby man-child baboon. Those are the worst. And look at this Howard Lutnick over here standing there. Jeffrey Epstein's pal, the man who went to Jeffrey Epstein's island with his kids, his own kids, and other kids. I guess they were in charge of. They were on a family vacation. Oh, I'm bringing 7 kids to your house, convicted pedophile. Here are their genders and ages. The liars, the freaks that we have to, that are ruling us. This is absolutely disgusting. But that's what I found in the comment section of the conservative Reddit page and other places that I was looking around with these maggots. They're like, one of them said, tariffs are, they're from the founders, like trying to make it like because we didn't have an income tax until the 20th century, and tariffs were the only way the founders could get money was through tariffs. But that doesn't mean, first of all, there's, okay, wonderful, but that doesn't mean that the president holds the purse strings, does it? Regardless, right? It's unreal. But they're making excuses. All right. Of course. And I'm fascinated by it because why? Why do you always have to? What is it about this effing baboon? Because the idiots in the comments section of Reddit, of the Reddit conservative page, of the conservative Reddit page, or the you fucking tube, or the series of tubes called the internet, are not billionaires. They're not Howard Lutnick. So what do you get out of it? I guess they're not the farmers who had to be bailed out again, thanks to Trump's tariffs, his stupid, ridiculous tariffs. Well, let's see how quickly the businesses turn around. The market, let's say. Because you think that the American people or you think another country that had to find a different market for their goods because of these filthy, disgusting Republican stupidity on economics, you think they're going to come running back to us? Just because Traitor Trump got his hand slapped? He's doubling down on the tariffs, as you saw, I'm sure. He's like, well, I'm going to do it this way now, and we're still going to do it. And then, of course, maggot Mike Johnson and the other lickspittles, they're not taking their power back as a co-equal branch of government. It's amazing to me. Mike Johnson doesn't want to be Speaker of the House. I don't know what he wants to be. He wants to be a page boy for Traitor Trump. What does he want? I don't get how he thinks he's going to look good in history's light. Right? Like, what? I don't get it. Don't you have any balls? Here's what he said. No one can deny that the president's use of tariffs has brought in billions of dollars. That's not true. That is not true, and created immense leverage for the American trade strategy and for securing strong, reciprocal, America First trade agreements with countries that have been taking advantage of American workers for decades. Well, that's because of Republicans taking advantage of American workers. No one does that better than the right wing. They hate unions. They hate having to pay living wages. They don't, these corporate masters of the universe don't pay living wages because of the goodness of their hearts. They do it because people fought, bled, and died for it. Congress and the administration will determine the best path forward in the coming weeks, which means he's going to sit there and wait for his dear leader to tell him what to do. Right? Ugh, where is he? It's so disturbing. Wait a second. Where is that?
Yeah, sure we do. We might have lost 3 votes.
Hold on a second. This is the Tarabuster show, the Friday night show. All right, we're listening to the baboon.
And what was the score on the Republican side?
The score.
3, right? But you don't say that. We have great unity. There's great unity in the Republican Party.
Oh, whatever.
These people have been destroying. They are destroying our country. Please.
Mr. President,
That was not the clip I was looking for. I was looking for the one where he said, I have the power to destroy countries.
But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
even allowed to impose a foreign country-destroying embargo. Anything I want, but I can't charge $1.
Oh, you
Because that's not what it
fucking
says.
fuck.
And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them.
Really? You can grab them by the pussy?
Any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little too.
Wow, bitch. You could do whatever the fuck you want. You just have to go through Congress. Right? That's how it works. You don't get to rule. You don't get to wave your little tiny nubs and say booga 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 how we've been treated over the years and common sense, and that's how he's been doing it. Somebody looks at him sideways like there was, who was that? Someone, one of the leaders of Norway. He didn't like her. So he imposed a tariff, a high tariff. Well, and then someone else came with a gold little trinket for him, and he took the tariff away. This is not normal. So you could impose tariffs. You could say, hey, we're going to go and we're going to put tariffs on you. Then you go to your Republican enablers. You build coalitions. You do the hard work of democracy. But maggots don't like that. Republicans don't want to do hard work. That's why all the whiny bitches in the Patriot Front are whining and crying and moaning about, diversity and how everybody's picking on them. They can't seem to get a head up, get a leg up anywhere, because all the people of color or brown people or different people have, I guess, a boot on their neck, according to them. It has nothing to do with how underwhelming they are, how underwhelming and horrible, right? The party of personal responsibility. They don't take responsibility. It's always somebody else's fault. It's, oh, you're the one standing in my way. Everyone's picking on them. So, yeah, everything that he said in his statement, of course, is a lie. The Supreme Court, he said the Supreme Court had no basis to strike down his tariffs. Of course, that's not true. What the fuck does he know about the law anyway, except how to break it? That's why he's a lifelong con man, a lifelong crook. Because the law schmaw. He's in for the quick buck. He wants the quick fix. He doesn't have the patience to build coalitions, to make a case for a policy. That's why he wants to decree it, regardless of the consequences. Because when the sting of the lash of the Republican failures falls on everyone's shoulders, he'll just lie about it. He'll say, well, we've ended inflation, right? Just like he said, I've been exonerated. in the Epstein files, I've been completely exonerated, which he has not been exonerated. Not in the least. He tried to grab a blank check to tax everything, everywhere, indefinitely, just on his say-so alone. That's not how this thing works. Boogaboo. Baboon. Right? That's not how it's supposed to work. That's why patriots fought, bled, and died. So we didn't have a king telling us what to do, picking our pockets on a whim. It's supposed to be deliberative, right? The world's greatest deliberative body. It's supposed to be slow. It's supposed to take time, debate, thoughtful debate. You're supposed to be able to go back to your districts, discuss it with your constituents where they put in input. Say, I like this, I don't like that, and here's how I would like you to vote. That's how it works. And then you go and if you have enough votes, it passes. And then the fucking baboon signs it. Right? Unfortunately, the three branches of government, I'm sure the founders didn't foresee one of those branches being a baboon and the others being completely fucking neutered. And then the Supreme Court being completely goddamn in debt in bed with billionaires. Oh, God. So he lied, of course. He said that the court has no basis to strike down tariffs. So what do you think they're there for? Right? Old bulls and strikes Roberts? He called some bulls and strikes. He said that the ruling struck down all his tariffs. That's not true, of course. He can't help but lie as easily as he opens his hole. The decision specifically targets the bullshit emergency, right? This is how maggot Mike Johnson gave him the power, saying that it was an emergency. Right? When everything's an emergency, nothing's an emergency. It's all an emergency in this fascist world, right? In the fascist America, everything's an emergency. This is how republics fall. This is how democracies fall. It's what happened. It was like what happened in the end of the Roman Republic, right? Making Caesar dictator for life. That was one of the things that happened. You know, dictator was an official position that was authorized during times of emergency. And then suddenly it was an emergency for life. We'll make him a dictator for life. Other things, all right? You start crossing those lines, erasing the protections from against concentrated power, and it all comes crumbling down, and that's what we're witnessing. So he got his hand slapped now. Oh, and he can't. I hope it happens more, because he went after all of the court, everyone on the court, Amy Coney, Handmaid Barrett, Justice I Like Beer voted with him, but they really hate Amy Coney, Handmaid. They hate her. They think she's a traitor, but she's also a woman, so there you go. They hate her for that too. Makes sense, right? This is who they are. Well, as you see, because everything that they're doing is rolling back progress. And according to Maggot World, the only worthy people are white men, rich white men. And the poor white men, well, they agree. And so do the poor white women. That's how pathetic they are. Because they've gotten so ahead, right? Under the rule of rich white men, right? No, not really. Because these are people who are ignorant of history, much less reality, right? But they don't understand that it's the good old days that they long for came about because of policies that lifted people up from the bottom. You know, not because a billionaire felt like trickling it or the billionaire equivalent. Oh boy, let's see. So he's just a liar. He, as I said, the decision didn't eliminate all his tariffs, but he can't say that because then he's not the victim that he wants everybody to believe him to be, right? He can't claim that, well, he will do it, but it's more impactful, I suppose, if he's completely at the mercy of the court. The court took them all away. Yeah, so he could play the victim and pretend that the court outlawed his ability to protect America from what? From economic vibrancy? Yeah, that's what it is. You know, let's not forget that everything Traitor Trump has ever touched, he has destroyed. Every one of his businesses, he's bankrupted. He bankrupted his trust fund 6 times. And there's been studies that say if he had just simply taken the money he received from his father and put it in a high yield or whatever, just a moderate mutual fund, he would have made more money. Because he's a fucking baboon. Did I mention he's a baboon? So he says, tariffs made us rich, saved jobs, fixed the trade deficit. Of course, that's all a lie. Tariffs are taxes on imports. I'm not an economist. I never pretended to be. But it doesn't take a keen mind or a degree from Wharton to understand this. His own administration and independent studies have showed the baboon that there are higher costs for manufacturers and consumers, and there's negligible gains in overall growth, and that the small businesses are going out of business. He says, here's another lie, his tariffs reduced imports and shrank the trade deficit. U.S. imports actually increased initially, after his tariffs, but they rose 4.7% to 4. Wait, hold on, I'm trying to read this. It's not making sense. After his tariff escalations, overall U.S. imports increased. A Democratic caucus statement on this very ruling notes imports rose 4.7 to $4.3 trillion, and the goods trade deficit hit a record. So no, the deficit. Oh wait, I'm reading this wrong. He made it worse. The deficit didn't magically disappear because he slapped taxes on washing machines or aluminum. It got worse. While he lied and said he fixed trade. His tariffs, he said that his lie is his tariffs created a boom in American manufacturing jobs. Manufacturing did not have some miraculous surge. Factories didn't come home, not yet, at least. And in fact, I was just mentioning one of many factories are moving across the border to Canada because they don't want to deal with this shit. He's fucking us in regard to electric vehicles and renewables. They're not coming here. So he's screwing us everywhere. Tariffs jacked up input costs for U.S. factories that need steel, aluminum parts. That undercuts competitiveness, right? Okay, I'm not an economist, but you don't revive manufacturing by making everything in your factories more expensive. That's not how it works. That's why factories close, and why the Chinese decided to build a factory for an electric vehicle plant that they were going to build here in the United States. They were all set to build it here, and they moved it to Canada. This is a tale we've heard before. Every time, they set us up for failure, the Republicans. Every time they get power, the American people suffer. Wait, hold on. Trying to find my folder of articles. It's incredible. But not unexpected. I don't know how anybody votes for them. It really is about hating the same people. It has to be. It is. We're not wrong about that. That's why whenever they come into our chat, they say things that are derogatory, racist, bigoted, right? That's all they have. That's their trick. They're the one-trick ponies. We don't go, when I go and I converse with conservatives, sometimes I'll make comments on whatever articles or posts. I don't start with your, whatever, your skin color or your ethnicity, or, you don't do that, because who thinks about that? But that's what they do. Well, you don't know because you're A, B, or C. They don't know shit. But that's how they start. That's how they enter the room. They announce themselves as the bigots they are, and then they whine when people tell them, when there's consequences for that. That's what the maggots, I've said it for years. They think freedom is the freedom to say the N-word, the freedom from consequences. That's what freedom is for the average maggot, for the dumbass who votes for the billionaires who ride them mercilessly to the bank. They think that forget the freedom to live an authentic life, to be who you are, without some, right-wing fake Christian up your ass condemning you to hell, or trying to take away your freedom to live that authentic life, targeting you. That's not freedom to them. They simply don't know how to just shut their filthy mouths and leave people alone, right? That's what they should do. Like I said, I don't like 19 kids and counting. Why do you need 19 kids and counting? I find it weird. But we're not flying in to wherever the hell the Duggars live and telling them not to have 19 kids. Or that they can't side hug. That they have to fully embrace somebody. Because studies show that side hugging is bad for your psyche. It really is. It's, children, babies die when they're not held. So they don't form, there's deleterious effects on human development. So you need to hug somebody. So stop side hugging people. There's nothing wrong with it, with fully hugging somebody. You anti-human monsters, right? But we don't do that, do we? Right, but they have to do that for us. They got to come into our lives and say, don't have a gay marriage or whatever. Don't build your life. You don't have the freedom to choose a partner who has the same pee-pee because some ancient book of fables told us that you shouldn't do that. Well, guess what, bubby? That's why the founders took away or rebelled against the crown, but they made that wall of separation between church and state, so we wouldn't have to listen to your bullshit. You may want to believe in that, but go right ahead. That's your freedom. But you don't get to tell me. it doesn't matter. These people are, like I said, they don't like democracy. They don't like America. This is why they want a baboon. So I don't care what they're saying. Oh, taxes didn't come into being until the 20th century. We didn't have an income tax. And so back in the 1700s, tariffs are the only way the founders could actually collect money, to keep the country going and all. Well, ain't that fucking wonderful? But that still doesn't give the president power to levy taxes, to set tariffs, regardless of what you're calling it. So, okay, because it didn't exist in the 1700s, so, okay. Back when we didn't have antibiotics or I don't know, some people thought well, I guess they still think the earth is flat. Oh, there's so many dum-dums. Yes, what else? Let's see. He lied. He said he pretended he never doubled down on the tariffs. When he whines about the court destroying his program, he actually what they actually did was put a legal brake on a wildly escalating unilateral tariff machine. Oh, well, whatever. That's what people are saying, that he should have just taken it as his excuse, because tariffs are fucking the economy, and that's why the American economy is contracting for the first time, and the dollar is shrinking, and all these horrible measures that I know Pam Bondi is like screaming the Dow as an excuse to protect pedophiles, but the economy is not doing great here. Unemployment is up. Jobs are down, of course. Every time Republicans get their filthy fascist clutches around the neck of power, this is what they do. And then he says the president can do whatever he wants with tariffs. Of course, that's a lie. The president has no inherent authority to do tariffs or set tax levels. Like I said, go and build your coalition. That's what the Congress is for. You're supposed to do it that way, baboon. Be right back. Become a patron at patreon.com/TaraDevlin, and also subscribe to my Substack. That's what that thing is there. Where is it? Right there. In the corner. How come I can't point at it? Right there. Right there, next to the cats. That's my Substack. I got to get those Substack numbers up, because then I'll be treated like a real person by, people who we want to get on the show. They might not, I don't know. They might think twice when they don't show up. Let's put it that way. I don't know. Whatever. That's right. That's right. Oh my God, the ballroom now comes in at $400 million, Susie. See what I'm saying? $400 million. Imagine. This is what I'm fucking talking about. Have we had enough of this shit? When is the pitchforks? I can't talk. I don't know what's going on. You know me. I can't talk sometimes. I can't say words. Even though I know words, I have the best words. But have we had enough yet? I hope that this shakes us awake, that we're sick of the corruption. What can we do with $400 million, right? People might be able to keep their jobs. That's why I'm so sick of it. When they fired anybody, right? When they fired all of the workers, the government workers, we should all be upset about that. I know I am. And we should expect government jobs to be secure jobs. And when we call up the Social Security Administration, they pick up on the first ring and they handle our problems because that's what you expect from the greatest country on earth. But we don't expect that because Republicans have been successful at propagandizing us against the government. And we, I guess, hate ourselves. You know, we only accept less because we hate ourselves. You know, I always say, how much do you hate yourself? Do you have to hate yourself to vote Republican, to constantly vote for a party that really hates you, that will do nothing for you? You wouldn't do that. You don't, you know, if you have any respect, if you have self-respect, you don't vote for people that, on what? Simply hate the same people you do? It's time, you know, this all comes together because the Republicans have turned people against government. And, you know, I'm here to tell you that the Democrats have had many missed opportunities riding the ship, right? You know, taking Republican talking points and turning it back against them, like when they go after government. Yeah, they're going after the government. The founders fought a revolution to create and entrust to us. That's how you frame it. What are you talking about? No, they love government. They just don't like democracy. You got to flip it on them. Flip it on the mother effers. And take back power. Take back your power. You got to go judo on them. Right? It's true. Because, you know, but what happens? What do the Republicans, I mean, what do the Democrats do with this leadership? They don't flip it. They go after Republicans, right? They would never stand up for government because they're afraid that there might be a disaffected Republican that won't vote for a Democrat if they, you know what I mean, if they insult the Republicans. So what they should do is we just don't have leadership in the Democratic Party that has any balls, much less a spine. Right? It's true. Oh my God. I'm just looking at some of the notes I made. So, where was I? So he says, this decision destroys American workers and hands our country to foreign cheaters. Projection much? Baboon? The ruling doesn't bar the U.S. from using tariffs. So, like I said, it's about doing them the right way. It doesn't bar the U.S. from using tariffs or negotiating trade or negotiating with leverage. It just says that the president can't unilaterally impose open-ended global tariffs because he, I was going to say, I'm really getting, I was going to say because he has his period, right? Isn't that what a maggot would say? Or because his cankles hurt. That's better. It does, you know, the president can't unilaterally. Why can't I talk? Unilaterally. There's been a lot of words today that can't come out of my mouth, and I thank you for understanding. But yes, I won't. I'll try to avoid that word. But he just can't impose sweeping tariffs without going through Congress. That's all it says. It says use the law, abide by the law. But that, of course a baboon would be upset by the law, especially a law in a democratic society. Just like how Peter Thiel, and I wrote that article on the Political Voices Substack about Peter Thiel. He's out there going on about how democracy sucks and how we have to think outside the Overton window, and how we have to because democracy has failed and liberalism has failed. How has it failed? It's failed in the sense that it has allowed too much power, money in politics. That's how it's failed. It's failed us by not protecting itself. The that's how it's failed. But according to Peter Thiel, who's sitting on a fortune 50,000 times over, it's failed. Right? This is what pisses me off. The system that he got rich in is not good enough for him. The system that made him one of the richest mother effers who ever lived is not good enough for him. He's not worried about the democracy being in his hands, right? He wants to choke the life out of democracy so we don't have any say at all. So people don't have, he's not worried about people going hungry or homeless or not having an education or not being able to see a doctor. He's upset that the system might tell him no sometimes. We still have a little power to tell that fucker no. But that's why he has to destroy it. I'm sick of these billionaires. I don't know about you. How much longer are we going to take it? Right? How much longer? He said that his tariffs were all about helping small business. Oh, baboon. Will you ever stop lying? Small businesses are the ones who sued. Okay, a coalition of small businesses sued because his tariffs were driving up their costs, and they told the court, and the court agreed. This is an overreach of power, and here we are, right? That's who won the case, not the globalist elites. It wasn't the Chinese. Chinese are giddy about the baboon. They love the baboon. They want the baboon to keep going, keep crushing this country, keep destroying America, keep her in the 19th century, keep dragging her backwards. While the Chinese move forward. They're on the vanguard of the electric vehicle revolution. They are putting the pedal to the metal when it comes to renewables, when the baboon and all their maggot moron enablers are dragging us backwards. Drinking whole milk in a sauna in your jeans. I mean, they're so fucking tedious. The clown show. And they never stop trying to convince us, though, right? Like, oh, it's all for you, right? All for you, Damien. As they push us out the window. Incredible. Yeah, so it was the small businesses who won. That's who brought this case. Small businesses. Not the global elite. And what else is that word for? Besides the new eternal Jew, I guess. And then he said, they're targeting me because I'm strong. Yeah, the Supreme Court that gives you everything most of the time. You could still fire the heads of independent agencies, right? I mean, I don't understand that. Well, that's because the Chamber of Commerce didn't tell old balls and strikes to stop Traitor Trump from doing that. They like that. The Chamber of Commerce likes that Traitor Trump can put a loyalist at the head of the Department of Labor instead of somebody who's in there to help the working person. So you know that's it. It's just classic. He's a victim. They're all victims. higher prices for everyone, he says. America first. The overall average U.S. tariff rate exploded, of course. Let me see. I'm just reading some stats here. Let me see if any are. Studies of his second-term tariff regime show slower job growth. Listen to this. Employers added about 584,000 jobs in 2025 versus 2 million in that Joe Biden administration. 2 million a year as opposed to 584,000. What are people supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? Right? Not have good jobs? They don't care. That's why these maggots, it's when I listen to these billionaires talking, they have to be stopped. They have to be taxed down to size and removed from power, period. By early 2026, one analysis estimated that tariffs would leave unemployment around 3 percentage points higher by the end of the year than it would have been otherwise. Jesus Christ. So this Protect America or America First, Protect America Workers shtick really means weaker job growth and more people out of work. Well, that's good for the likes of Howard Lutnick and Elon Musk and everyone else who hates America because, well, they want to make more money. And a compliant and desperate working class doesn't demand a seat at the table. It doesn't demand living wages. It doesn't go on strike. It doesn't organize because they're living hand to mouth. They're afraid. It doesn't challenge their betters for a fair share of the profit that labor makes possible in the first place. As you want to talk about small business, here's some stats. Corporate bankruptcies in the U.S. rose to their highest level since 2010 during this year because of Traitor Trump's tariffs. How else? Why else? Of course, it makes sense. They can't afford to pay for the shit that they need to keep their businesses going. And I've seen it myself. You've seen it. Small businesses out of business, people losing their jobs. He killed the de minimis exemption for low-value imports, meaning that even low-cost items are hit with duties and fixed fees. Oh, God. This leads to slower growth, a smaller economy. Yale Budget Lab estimates that in the long run, Traitor Trump's tariff structure will leave the U.S. economy about 1% smaller each year, roughly $30 billion annually than it would have been otherwise. Brookings notes that the average tariff rate in his second term jumped from roughly 2.4 to as high as 28%. And that this drag on trade has been a persistent headwind for growth, even though a full-blown recession has so far been avoided. Could you imagine if we had somebody that actually knew what they were doing and wasn't a baboon in charge of the economy, making policies and putting things in place, jobs for the future? What the economy would look like under somebody that was operating in the best interests of the American people and not out of sheer stupidity. And I mean, he's just being a dick. That's what he's got. I don't know how he figured out, okay, tariffs. And Maggot Mike Johnson gave him the power to do it. And he saw how he could turn every single day into another exercise in chaos. So that's what he did. Pay attention to me over here. Distraction du jour. That's what it's about. They're not looking at me. Look at me here. Look at me there. Look at that. Blah, 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 right? Jesus Christ. It's embarrassing. This is not a strategy, How we've been treated in the past. Pretending to be a whiny little bitch victim. How we've been treated. And of course, that's all subjective, according to him, how we've been treated. Jeez Louise. I just can't. It's like, I don't understand how we all are enduring this. Right? Meanwhile, Andrew what's his name? Mountbatten Windsor is the only one that's paying any price at this point. He's not even paying a price for sexually assaulting children. If this doesn't show us that we are under the thumb of people that have no business in power, I don't know. I don't know what does. And that we have to get money out of politics, and quick. Right? Because this is why. If we didn't have money in politics, Traitor Trump would be the F out of here. He would have found a different shtick. Right? Wait, hold on. I'm just looking at the time. Let's go on to another story before we lose our Progressive Voices friends. Somebody's in the hall. I hope they don't ring this bell. I can hear them. I don't know what they're doing in the hall. Let's see. Uh-oh. Boudica's awake. She's cute, ain't she? She's a cutie girl. She looks a little sleepy. Yeah, I was waiting for that. That's why I didn't want to start. Be right back. Unapologetic liberal talk. This is so disgusting. Steve Bannon. Wait a second. I don't understand. Somebody can explain this to me. How there are any supporters of the maggot movement at all. The bowel movement, known as maggotry. Steve Bannon, I mean, because they're all, do they love being used? It has to be. There has to be a level of self-loathing involved in maggotry, being treated like nothing but hosts from which con men suck, profit, and discard. How Steve Bannon has any supporters at all who listen to his podcast, right? The likes of Steve Bannon, his influence in the halls of power from the United States to Hungary to other places all over the world where he's bringing his poison. That's Steve Bannon's sickness. Right? He was already caught being a grifter. And now we see that he's in the Epstein files. Him and Epstein were buddy-buddy. They show him, Bannon, in 2018, actively coaching Jeffrey Epstein on how to counter the falsehoods, quote unquote. Falsehoods about being a pedo. How he can dismantle the pedophile trafficking narrative. He knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile, but his mission or his the primary imperative was for Steve Bannon was not to protect the victims of this pedophile, of this con man, and a fellow con man and a pedophile, but to dismantle the pedophile narrative. Hey, I guess he didn't have to work too hard dismantling it, because Jeffrey Epstein got all of his pals. So he still had them surrounding him no matter what. They're infants. They're like unfit, sociopathic infants who should be stripped of all power. I don't understand. If we had a just world, they would already be in prison. They'd already be suffering consequences. Steve Bannon has a popular podcast, right? I'm here. Please become a patron. Please subscribe to my Substack, blah, blah, blah. This fucker's in the White House, right? He's got a hotline to Traitor Trump, this pedo-protecting grifter. It sucks. This is why the world is fucked up. We know the first time, this is why I don't understand how anyone listens to Steve Bannon, just like I don't understand how anybody listens to Fox News. Because Steve Bannon was already caught grifting from the maggots. That should have been enough for them. That's, I guess, how much they hate themselves. They're like, please, please, steal from me, hate me, treat me like shit. Here's my money, Steve. He was caught on a yacht with a Chinese billionaire, right? That's when the Justice Department, pre-Pam Bondi, got him, arrested him off of this yacht. For what? For build the wall, right? The grift on the top of the rot, the build the wall. We build the wall scam, where he fleeced maggot donors out of tens of millions of dollars on the promise that every penny would go to this private border wall. It was all a scam. Just like Traitor Trump's scam. How, of course, the maggots, when you devalue the currency of truth, that's how Traitor Trump gets away with this shit with these maggots. As long as he hates the same people they do, they will pick their own pockets and slit their own throats at his command. But, you could prove to them over and over again, like when Traitor Trump had that PAC, he said, donate to the Save America PAC to stop Biden from stealing the election from him. When Biden won the election, as we know, that's besides the point. Traitor Trump didn't even have the decency to set the PAC up. He just said, donate the money to this PAC. There was no PAC. It was his wallet. It might as well have been his fucking Venmo account. Right into it. And same thing with Steve Bannon. He helped fleece all these maggot donors. And then he was charged with defrauding these stupid donors. And then what happened? Trump swooped in with a presidential pardon. That should have been the end of his maggot career. Shouldn't it have, right? That would have been, well, if he had any self-respect, if he had any respect for himself or the people that he that listen to his podcasts. Of course, he doesn't have any respect for them. They're all grifters, and the listeners are the marks. That's how he has the pictures of Jesus up behind him on his podcast, and a flag, American flag, while he's flying all over the world, dismantling America's interests, dragging us back to the Dark Ages, fucking America over at every turn, spitting on the graves of everyone who ever fought, bled, and died for democracy. Right? And it's all for, what? Look at him. It's not like he's happy. What are you doing? Not clearly, money don't make you happy. Does stealing money from stupids make you happy? Maybe that's his calling in life. Well, it's not that. You see, when you get away with it once, I guess you keep on doing it because he's done it again. He's been caught in another scandal, another scam. He keeps proving over and over again that his maggot movement is nothing but a ATM for him, a personal ATM. Well, I can't even talk. I'm speechless because I can't believe that anybody listens to his show after knowing this. After knowing he's in the Epstein files, like as much as Trump. Not as much. I mean, a lot. He's in there, as Trump would say, a lot. He's a pal with a pedophile. These are the people that scream global elites, right? Well, they're taking meetings with Chinese billionaires in international water on a yacht. These are people who claim to only think about the forgotten man and woman, while his buddy, pal, the convicted pedophile, abuses girls, in working class girls, working class and poor, powerless, unconnected politically. Right? Wouldn't that qualify as the forgotten people? But they don't give a shit. It's a grift. He's not just a garden variety con man, though. You know, maggots, they have taken the grift right into the Oval Office. So you got to give him props for that. Bannon, Traitor Bannon, really, he's one of the chief propagandists of this authoritarian cult that spent his time with a pedophile trying to launder the pedophile's reputation. So launder the reputations of the predators while screaming about virtue and railing against anyone who is trying to hold you to account, of course. All right, they're the deep state. They're the swamp. We got to drain that swamp. That's what is so sinister about these people. They're the swamp. They're the global elite. They're the people who are drinking adrenochrome, exploiting children. They're the pedophile ring. But it was genius of them to point fingers outward at everyone else. Wow, I can't believe that's the end of the Progressive Voices part of the show. Come on over to youtube.com/c4channel/tarabuster to watch the rest of the show. Thank you for all you do. Charlie from APS Radio News. We will win. Check out APS Radio. Listen to classic rock and oldies all day long. And classical music. We need to do that sometimes to, cleanse our palate of all the madness. We will win. Become a patron. I already said that. Subscribe to my Substack. If you can support it financially, that'll be great too. Keep it going. Keep it real. I'll see you soon. All right, we're back. My back hurts a little bit. Where was I? We're not even done. I didn't even get to the scam, this scam. But, let me check on you guys for a second. Where the heck did you go? In the chat. Isn't it disgusting? Oh, hey, nice to see you. Primitive Velcon, nice to see you, everybody. Nice to see you, Vanessa. And Nicole, and Mad Mac. And, of course, Jim. All right, and others. Let's see. So, what was I saying? I mean, it's a genius projection, or everything that comes out of their mouth is projection or confession, right? For Bannon, an epically sick grifter to point fingers, to frame himself as the hero in the story, when he's the villain, right? When he's the very thing that he pretends to be fighting against. So he's not any garden variety con man. They're all sinister. They're evil. We're in another age. The banality of evil. We're seeing it again. Oh, and thank you for becoming a member, Steve Ward, for becoming a member at the Tara Junior level. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I don't know how to thank you more than saying thank you so much for, I mean, there's so many places you can support. When you go everywhere, people are pulling you in a million directions. Thank you so much for supporting this show. It means everything. I can't do it without you. I'm trying to find my applause. Where the fuck is my applause? This is why I need more, I need more help. Here we go. This is a standing ovation. Thank you, Steve Ward. Oh, yes, Steve Ward, for becoming a member at the Tara Junior level. I can't do it without you. Thank you. Like this community, and you just rock on, Tara. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm happy to report we're doing 3 shows a week now instead of just 1. So we had the 2. Well, first we started with this, and then we had on Tuesday Tarabuster on Political Voices Network, and then Thursday we just added Thursday. And the show's only an hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's better than nothing. So, you didn't hear the applause? Don't tell me that. Don't tell me my sound effects aren't working. Oh, boy. Oh, brother. Don't tell me. Did you hear it? You did not hear it. Hold on. I'll play it again and see. Then we know they're not working, maybe? How the fuck? Can you hear that? Let's throw in a car horn or two. Yes. Thank you. I hope we can hear it. I'm trying to listen for myself. No, I hear it. It's playing. You didn't hear it? Maybe it sounds like wind. You heard a clap. I just heard it because I played it back. It's there. It does sound a little like it could be rain or wind. Right, maybe it's a little quiet. Right, it is a bit quiet. How do I make that louder? Oh well, I'll have to figure it out. Can you hear this? Let's see. Oh, brother. I gotta get a whole new library of good stuff. Funny stuff. Surprise! Ooh, that's surprise. Where's my call me now?
Who are all of these nosy people. Outside influences I'm seeing around you by the moon card. Call me now for your free reading.
Thank you, Steve. Remember.
Call me now for your free reading.
Or, how's this?
And may every day be another wonderful secret.
Ugh.
Experience the miracle of the tarot.
All right. Enough of that. Enough of that palaver. I got to get a whole library of sound effects. I should do that. I got to do that. Uh-oh, Tara Jr.'s awake. All right, so let's get back to Steve Bannon. He's a grifter. Let's get into what he did. So Steve Bannon, he keeps proving over and over that the movement, the maggot bowel movement, is just his own personal ATM. Suckers. That's why I don't understand how anybody listens to him. If you are listening to a content creator, let's say, and then you find out and you support that content creator. Like, I'm trying to imagine. I've been listening to Mike Malloy for years. Before I even knew Mike Malloy, when I heard him on Air America Radio, I instantly became a fan. I started supporting him. The reason I ended up meeting him and becoming friends was because he started reading some of the stuff I was writing on the old website, Republican Dirty Tricks, that was killed by Facebook. That's a whole other story. And we started email correspondence. And then he found out about me, and I work in television, and I started making some graphics for him and things like that. And then I started working on the show, doing field producing. When he went into down in DC, he would go sometimes and do some Families USA, remote broadcasts and whatnot. So that's how we became friends. Anyway, let's say we weren't friends and I was just a fan and I started supporting him, and then I found out that, and this is all fictional, of course, because Mike Malloy is the real deal, but then I found out he was scheming and scamming people and me and preyed upon me, and that he ran some kind of pack that said donate to help wounded kittens, and I found out it was going into his pocket. I would never, think about it. Would you support that broadcaster again? Would you tune into them again? No, because you have too much self-respect, and that broadcaster would have, you think there would be some consequences where they would not have an audience anymore, or at least know that they should retire and shut their lying holes. But not maggots, not Steve Bannon. He still has a large audience that tunes into his sickness every single day, his poison. He still has outsized power in politics. He's got not one scam. I mean, these are only the scams that we've caught him in. So he just got a new scam uncovered, this FJB scam. Okay, this is who the fuck they are. They're so infantile. Fuck Joe Biden, right? They're all scammy. Scam artists. They all have a meme coin. Trophy wife number 3 has a meme coin. They all have meme coins, these pricks. The FJB coin scheme is a classic, of course, a classic scam. Him and Boris Epstein wrapped a meme coin in, of course, what they do. This is patriot cosplaying. Well, they're not patriots. They hate America. FJB. Fuck Joe Biden. Yeah, don't we want to FJB? Because he's such a horrible person that they have to lie everything that they hate about him, they lie about. They talk about, oh, Joe Biden stole the election from our dear leader, all of this is bullshit. Because what are they going to say? He created jobs in red districts in these poorly run red states because their own representatives do nothing for them but poison their minds with hateful bills against trans people and anybody else who's not politically connected. Right? So, yeah, the Let's Go Brandon coin, then they rebranded it as the Patriot Pay and pitched it to maggots as the way to fight Biden and gain financial independence. That's another one. They always do this. We have stories of maggots buying Trump coins and Trump bucks. Another scam. Let me look this Trump bucks up. That happened during the first maladministration. Everything is a fucking scam. Because they don't give a shit. You see, they're not in government for altruism. And that's why we have to get money out of politics yesterday. Because if we want to have a functioning society that works for everybody, including the maggots, we don't need scam artists running it. Scam artists and pedophiles and pedophile protectors. They said that it was the meme coin, FJB, was supposedly to get financial independence and help veterans and first responders. Why don't you just throw in kittens and puppies too? Veterans, first responders, wounded animals, right? Because, hey, you get all the suckers, just cover just a blanket group of suckers. Pull every heartstring. One-eyed orphans, throw them in there too. And according to this class action complaint, they use their media platforms and maggot celebrity to lure investors into buying into this unregistered and highly speculative magic bean while hiding critical risks. And let's see. A Missouri investor says he lost more than $58,000 in the FJB coin. Well, go fuck yourself then. I have no tears for you. I feel bad for you, of course, because I'm a human being, but you're a sucker. $58,000. Shame on you for putting it into something called FJB. You stupid, hateful maggot. You get it. You get what you deserve. Maybe that'll wake you up. Really. You could become a patron. You should atone by becoming a patron at patreon.com/TaraDevlin or subscribing to my Substack. That would help. Oh, I just realized my mic was pointed in a weird way. Another source puts losses at $58,000. This all went into Steve Bannon's pocket, so you should be happy. The lawsuit alleges that roughly $2.7 million that was supposed to go to charity or promotion vanished into thin air. Let's see. Then they locked their wallets, trapping people's money, because this is all crypto, as the coin collapsed and disappeared from trading. So you were fucked. You bought this magic bean. You bought this token, this bullshit that doesn't exist, and it was basically a siphon into your bank account, and they sucked out all the money, and they closed it out. So you couldn't go back behind them and say, wait, who was that sucking on my money? Where'd all my money go? The perfect maggot business model to point them at something that will help them own the libs and then quietly drain their bank accounts. And the libs, meanwhile, the libs, like me and you and all the other normal people, are trying to help these people, trying to make sure that they, even when they lose their money in some maggot scheme, that they have a social safety net that'll catch them, that they could still go to a doctor when they're sick, that maybe they can get on some kind of public assistance, that they don't lose their homes, or that they don't end up on the street, selling apples or little matchstick girl matchbooks. Right? Oh, but they own the libs. FJB, they gotta get it. You gotta get this meme coin. FJB, it owns the libs while Steve Bannon owns you like a bitch, like a dumb bitch with that stupid, stupid money. In all my world, when I don't hate these fucking people. They're tedious, they're annoying, I feel bad for them, really. But if I were sinister like Steve Bannon, I would set up a FJB meme coin. I would do that. I would do things like that and target maggots, because they're the stupidest, most eager, willing dupes going, it seems. And they hate themselves so much that they keep coming back for more, clearly. Because Steve Bannon isn't saying, please become a patron, or all you got to do is put up a flag and a picture of Jesus, and they'll open their pockets, they'll open their wallets, they'll drain their own bank accounts for this grifter, who is a pedophile protector, who does nothing for them. What does he give them? What does he give them in return? He validates their victimitis. He poisons their mind. He validates their hate. And I will argue that that's tantamount to abuse, really, because you're not helping anybody. They're not helping people. He's not making them happy and peaceful and serene. He's not relieving their anxieties or their stress, right? He's adding to it. He's turning them against other people. He's keeping them small. He's keeping them angry while cutting their lifelines, while he's yachting around with a Chinese billionaire, laughing all the way to the bank on their dime, on the dime of the suckers. He has no respect for the people who tune into his show. Clearly not. He's in the Epstein files. The one who's like, oh, Hillary Clinton is drinking adrenochrome. The one talking about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton saying, oh, they're evil, they're pedos, Democrats are pedos. When they're the pedos, he's palling around with a pedo. He's keeping company with one of the world's most notorious sex offenders of our era. Right? It's unreal. The New York Times reported that Bannon had contact with Jeffrey Epstein daily. Nearly daily. Excuse me, I don't want to exaggerate. Nearly daily. In about 3 million pages of documents, especially in the 6 months before his 2019 arrest. So he knew what was going on. And then after the arrest, that's why he said, we have to do something about let's do something about this pedo. The sin that dare not speak its name. We have to rehab you in the public eye. We don't want them thinking you're a pedo, even though you are. So I'm going to do my best to rehab you for everyone. So you just keep on raping children, and I'll keep on singing your praises. Because why? Who cares? They are trash. They are trash. Right? The texts that we have between Bannon and Epstein are not, these are pals. They're not just someone reluctantly having contact with some pedophile pariah at arm's length. They show Bannon as a real chum, like Traitor Trump. It's wonderful to have a pal. He says he texted Epstein in June of 2019, dude, is this real? Tell me this is real. Reacting to a Miami Herald headline about Epstein's victims losing an attempt to overturn his sweetheart non-prosecution deal. Oh, he's celebrating that. Oh, the victims, they're not having any luck overturning your sweetheart scummy deal. Hey, ha, whoa, whoa. Tell me this is real. I'm jerking off as I'm talking. Dumb bitches, dumb trash, they are trash. He arranged, this is during the same period, so he knows he's raping children. So in the same period, he arranges a Friday afternoon media training. 2-camera shoot, your place. My crew is so totally confidential, says Bannon. That's, I guess, where they're rehabbing his pedo bad press. He insists, it's for a documentary. It will dispel the myths about Epstein. The myths. What a bunch of monsters. And this is the through line, right? Bannon's anti-elite persona. Who the fuck is he hanging out with? The elite. Epstein. Rehabbing a pedo. This is what passes for populist in Maggotville. A scam artist who picks their pockets, pals around with pedos. And we'll keep doing it again. Just keeps on. Well, when you have one grift that's working, why would you go on to a new grift? You had the build the wall grift. Now you got your FJB grift. There's so many grifts happening to choose from. So you follow Traitor Trump. Traitor Trump will just give you a pardon. Jesus Christ. And the tragedy is that Steve Bannon isn't doing this under the radar, really. He telegraphs who he is all the time. This is about an elite authoritarian movement, bowel movement, wrapped in a flag, clutching the Bible. And they keep elevating him as some kind of thought leader while he turns them into a revenue stream and launders the reputation of a pedophile while he's pretending to fight pedophiles. I fight the pedophile wherever I see, except the one standing right next to me. And it never ends. I'm so fucking tired of it. Will we get to the other side of this? Where, and not just that it's over, the great getting up morning and all. And maggots are in history's trash bin. But legally and peacefully. But we have a whole shift in how we look at the world, where we don't put these fucks in power, where they're stripped of their ill-gotten gains. And we get money out of politics, that we re-regulate the media. That the only profession enshrined in the Constitution as being necessary for democracy and freedom is put back, is taken from the clutches of billionaires. Oh, God. That we regulate that shit for the betterment of all of us, right? That's how it works. We all have a say in the matter through our civic duty and our representatives. Once we get money out of politics, you see how fast these fucks run from politics. They'll go find a different scam. All right. And then the last, just one little story left. This really annoyed me. Well, it is what it is. It just goes to show you consequences. Sometimes there are consequences. Here's a article or a news report. I have a video, so I wonder, hopefully it'll play without too, you can hear it or it's not too loud. Come on, Ecamm, where are you?
Call me now for your free reading.
Just did that to distract you. Okay, clip this, turn that off. Wait. Here we go.
The teacher works at Gary Elementary School here in West Chicago. His social media post was on a site talking about immigration enforcement activities. It was just 2 words long. It said, "Go ICE." That comment is drawing an angry response from a crowd of more than 100 parents and community members. They filled West Chicago's city council chambers this morning to express their frustration and outrage that, according to officials, the teacher is still employed by the school.
Where is the due process for all the people that are being kidnapped on the streets?
At home, we teach our children to be respectful to the teachers. And then we expect the same, the teachers to be respectful.
Many here have protested ICE activities in West Chicago previously. They say ICE has targeted West Chicago's large Latino population in the last several months, causing separation of many families.
We have kids in our school districts, in this school specifically, who have lost a mom or dad or family member within the last 3 months. They're going home and wondering.
Oh, wait a minute. No volume. Too quiet. Oh, Jesus Christ.
The mayor says he invited the protesters to express themselves.
Son of a bitch. Hold on. Sorry. We'll go over. I'll fix it. Hold on a second. I think I know the problem. I should have listened to you guys. What the fuck? I know what I did. I think I made it very low. That's what happened. I'll start it over. And then I'll have to cut the show. Okay. And we'll go over. I won't. Let me lower the timing bed. We have about 7 minutes left in the time anyway, so it doesn't matter. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you.
The teacher works at Gary Elementary School here in West Chicago. His social media post was on a site talking about immigration enforcement activities. It was just 2 words long. He said, "Go ICE."
Thank you.
That comment is drawing an angry response from a crowd of more than 100 parents and community members. They filled West Chicago's city council chambers this morning to express their frustration and outrage that, according to officials, the teacher is still employed by the school.
Where is the due process for all the people that are being kidnapped on the streets?
At home, we teach our children to be respectful to the teachers. And then we expect the same, the teachers to be respectful.
Many here have protested ICE activities in West Chicago previously. They say ICE has targeted West Chicago's large Latino population in the last several months, causing separation of many families.
We have kids in our school districts, in this school specifically, who have lost a mom or dad or family member within the last 3 months. They're going home and wondering if or when they will ever see mom again, dad again.
The mayor says he invited the protesters to express themselves here rather than at the school. As part of the protest, many parents kept their kids home from school today, some bringing them to the meeting.
You have many students across District 33 who did not go to school today because of fear incited by a teacher.
We reached out to both the school and the teacher involved. Neither responded. Many of those here say they recognize the teacher has First Amendment rights to free speech, but they say they have rights as well.
Everyone has their right to say what's on their mind, but there's also consequences to that.
The community members who were protesting say their next step is to attend the next school board meeting, which is early in February. and demand that the board take action against the teacher.
So, okay, thank you for enduring that hiccup there. This maggot teacher who works in a school with 80% Hispanic children are in the school, and as you saw in the news report, this is a West Chicago elementary school, and the gym teacher, James Hayden, is now, I don't know, let me see, hold on. I have a picture of him somewhere over the rainbow here. It doesn't matter. Let me see. Oh yeah, here we go. He, I mean, it's just the insensitivity of him. And what he posted was "Go ICE." So on Facebook, under a post about local police cooperating with ICE, he commented, "Go ICE." And the parents who are being terrorized by ICE, of course, were upset about this because their children are feeling stress and trauma. They don't want to go to school. They don't feel safe leaving their homes because of ICE. And this is, of course, it has a ripple effect on all children. So they have a teacher who is so insensitive. He's working with these students. He knows what they're going through. He hears their troubles, their plights. He knows what the district is having to deal with. He knows that kids aren't going to school. And he posts "Go ICE." The insensitivity is sociopathic, of course. And it's very troubling how, that someone who's in charge of children is so disconnected from their experiences that he does something like that, knowing the response that he would get, knowing that it's sort of like how it is evil almost. If you watch these kids that are suffering because of ICE, that they're not going to school, and the ones who are at school are having trauma, that they have to have counseling, that the school is aware of this, that the administrators are discussing how they are supposed to handle the students who are having trouble in this horrible time. And then he posts "Go ICE," because he's got his privilege, of course, right? No one's coming after him. This is a picture of him. So finally he resigned, but they first put him on leave without pay. He had pay. So, after this community board meeting, over 100 people packed the meeting, Chicago City Council chambers. They reached out to their representatives. They reached out to the school board, saying that a teacher cheering on ICE in a community that is under threat is unacceptable. Of course, he's like, I have free speech. But now right-wing outlets are running, as we could have predicted, they're running the martyr script on this guy. It's devastating and surreal. He lost his 14-year career over 2 words, just supporting law enforcement. It's not law enforcement. It's terrorizing communities. This is domestic terrorism. Renee Good and Alex Preddy weren't the domestic terrorists. ICE is. ICE is the domestic terrorist. That's what's happening. So it's not cancel culture. This is accountability. And Republicans want, of course, no accountability. They're the law and order party, but what they talk about, and I've said it for years, when they pretend to be for law and order, what they're about is oppression. That's what they mean by law and order. Consequences for thee, not for me. Right? Cancel culture for thee, not for me. They're cancel culturing the entire community. Why? I thought Traitor Trump was supposed to be going after the worst of the worst. Are the worst of the worst in this West Chicago school district? Are the worst of the worst the children in this school? 14-year-olds are the worst of the worst? In an elementary school, actually, they're younger than that, 14. They're younger than, this is an elementary school. You're talking about first graders, second graders. These are the worst of the worst? This is a district where more than 80% of the students are Hispanic. And many of them, as we saw in the report, have direct experience with ICE raids and deportations. And this fucker has no empathy, much less sympathy for his own students. Isn't that funny? Go ICE. Fuck you. I'm sick of the lack of empathy. That's what really defines the maggot cult. They have all the empathy for themselves. That's the only thing that deserves empathy in their minds. That's the only creature that ever deserves any kind of empathy. If you ever step on their toes, oh, you never hear the end of it. Listen to Traitor Trump. Whiny little bitch. Never a whinier person in the halls of power. There was never been a president who has whined more. I don't even think I can think of a president whining before him. Never. Because they're immature. And this isn't cancel culture. This is accountability. In a majority Hispanic elementary school where kids have been traumatized by ICE ripping their families apart, you get this white gym teacher publicly cheering "Go ICE." It's not some abstract policy opinion. This is a direct signal to his students that he sides with the people that are disappearing their family, that are traumatizing him or them. You can't be trusted. If you can't be trusted, if you can't be the trusted adult, let's say, in the gym class of children, if you're an adversary to these children, you can't be that trusted adult if you're the one rooting for the agency that has terrorized the children that are in your care. So you could say it, yeah, free speech, man, all the way. That protects your right to say it, but it doesn't obligate the district to keep you in a position of authority, does it? Over kids that who can trust you? Who wants to be in your class? Who's to say you're not going to call ICE? And we know that ICE, they're not coming for the worst of the worst. They're grabbing American citizens. They're ripping children from their families. They're leaving children alone. They're taking their fathers and mothers and leaving kids unattended. They're leaving cars unattended, property unattended, just grabbing people like they were fucking raptured. And then we don't hear from them. These are American citizens. These fuckers. And then they just dump when they find out that they have they got the wrong person, or it's not the worst of the worst, or it's an American citizen. They just drop them off somewhere. No bus fare, no accountability, in the middle of nowhere. What if a teacher posted "Go Hamas" or "Go Taliban"? I wonder, would the right-wing outlets demand their immediate firing? Or, of course, it's same difference here is that the target is immigrants. So it's just an opinion now, according they love that opinion. So, but they don't seem to get that there's a professional competence factor here and a duty to care, that teachers have a heightened duty of care because kids have to be there. They have to be in their classes. They can't just change the channel. And especially in a district where over 80% of the students are Hispanic and are traumatized by this maladministration. And that ICE represents the maladministration, the domestic terrorists that are tearing communities apart. Might as well cheer. Go KKK. In a black neighborhood, and then insisting it was just about law and order, you know? You're just you love your heritage. Oh, boy. I mean, in this story, the mayor literally said that kids in his district have been traumatized by their parents being taken by immigration, by ICE. And that this was hurtful and offensive, but of course, why would maggots care? He'll be this keynote speaker at CPAC. He'll end up on one of their, who knows? You know, Traitor Trump will have him to the White House. And he resigned because first he wouldn't resign. Then, I don't know, the whole, how the whole thing played out. But then they offered him his full salary and benefits until the rest of the year, for the rest of the school year. And a neutral reference. So he resigned. And Fox and, of course, Murdoch's Poison Pustule Post are selling him as the latest cancel culture martyr whose life was destroyed because he typed "Go ICE." Go ICE between, on social media. How about, all the teachers? Remember when Charlie Kirk was murdered? There were teachers that posted just the words that came out of Charlie Kirk's mouth and lost their jobs over it. But they were fine with that. Maggots are fine with that. See, there's no consistency with Republican outrage. It's just a grievance machine. That's their this template, the new grievance template. In this instance, it's a public employee that says something that tells vulnerable students and minorities or LGBTQ kids that, I'm on your side, right? The maggots go nuts. We've seen this too. There was a teacher, who was that? She had this was in the early days. A teacher had a poster that had all different colored hands that said, "Everyone is welcome here." And she was called into the office and told to remove her poster. And she refused, and she lost her job. Because that was DEI. The poster was DEI. Because it had all different colored hands on it. I wonder what happened to her. Hold on. Do you remember that? Let's see if I can find it before the show ends. Yes. The teacher's name is Sarah Inema. I-N-A-M-A. Inema. Inema? Yeah, right. A middle school world civilizations teacher. Her poster said, "Everyone is welcome here," and showed raised hands and multiple skin tones. And then the admin pulled her into the office and claimed that her poster violated new content-neutral display policies and Idaho's anti-DEI laws. She said, and said the hands and the wording were controversial. and out of compliance with state law. She was ordered to take it down, briefly complied, and then rehung them in order, and told her principal that removing them goes against everything that we work for, that everyone should, of course, be welcome. The district threatened her with insubordination. She ultimately resigned and now has filed a federal lawsuit challenging the policy and the law that forced her out over a poster that said everyone is welcome. These fuckers need to be stripped of all power, and all of these maggot racists need to go back in the closet. Right? Go hang out with the Patriot Front. He's already got the pants for it. Right? He's siding with a deportation squad that's terrorizing communities. No one, this happened when Barack Obama was in office. They called him the deporter in chief, right? Let me see, Barack Obama, immigration, stats. Deported more people. Right? When he was in office, when Obama was in office, he deported more people. Okay, yes. By DHS ICE numbers, Barack Obama administration deported more people than any other prior president and more than Trump's first term. But I guess, let's see, what about now? About the numbers now. And he did it without terrorizing communities like this. Let's see. Obama, record deportations, especially at the border. And focusing on more people with convictions. So, let's see. Obama still has more deportations than Trump during this maladministration. And nobody terrorized communities like Traitor Trump. Crazy. Insane. In the fucking membrane. Oh, all right, guys. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Where are you? I lost you. All right, my friends. Listen. Let me see. We don't have any, guests on Tuesday yet. But next Friday we'll have Charles Derber. I don't have anybody for Thursday. It'll just be us. That's fine. There's never a shortage of things to talk about. In the meantime, if you can, become a patron at patreon.com. If you can join the YouTube like Steve Ward did tonight. Thank you so much for doing that at the Tara Junior level, which is the top level, because he's the top dog around here. And I appreciate that. I can't thank you enough. Also, tell your friends, share the show with your friends. And what else? Oh, yes, subscribe to my Substack. That would be very nice, and I would really appreciate that. I really want to get the Substack up to, a lot. A lot. Oh, and thank you. Primi Velcon sent 1 Tarabuster gift membership. Thank you so much. And how does... I don't understand how that works. One time when somebody gave gift memberships, I said, I'm going to give them to this one and that one, but it just happens automatically, right? When you send a gift membership, it's like a random YouTube thing. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Eddie Rocks. A new member gifted by Eddie Rocks. Thank you so much. Shit, guys, you're killing me here. Thank you for your gift membership, says Eddie Rocks. That is amazing. See, the community is going and growing. It really is, and I can't thank you enough. I'm not getting any younger. Look at me. Wish I can get my neck done. That's what always goes first, right? When you're old. I am old. I'm old. I'm pushing 60, guys. Can you fucking believe it? I didn't think I'd make it past 25 when I was a kid. But now I'm here fighting fascism. What? Welcome to the Booty Boo, Damon Dog. You guys, you're killing me, man. Call me Robin? Okay. I'll have to remember that. That might be hard to remember. How come it's prima prima? I mean, it's hard. I can't talk. You know, you can hear me. It's hard. Words are hard sometimes. Let's see. I'm writing that down, actually. It helps sometimes to write things down. Primate Velcon is Robin. I'm writing it down. I'm not even kidding. So hopefully I'll remember that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. 25, me too. Okay, I get it. I'm in recovery, you know, one day at a time and all. Just for today. My thoughts will be on my recovery, living and enjoying life. Okay. Thank you. Yes, I don't look too bad for my age, but it's all good. I've seen, yeah, I don't know. I guess at some point you're old. You're 57 in 3 months, Vanessa. I'm 58. I'll be 59 next year. Well, yeah, I just turned 58. Fuck it. Fuck it, man. Just gotta, is what it is. What's the alternative? Exactly. Exactly, Robin, on the chat. What's the alternative? It is what it is. We're here to fight fascism. So that's good. That's good stuff. All right, my friends. Thank you for hanging out. I actually have some work to do before I go to sleep, get unconscious. And so I wanted 71. All right, congratulations, Steve Ward. 71. Nice. Yes. Congratulations. Everyone here. I love you all. At all your ages. All our ages. We're here sharing this blip of time together, and I'm very fortunate to have met you all. Yes. I'm not a boomer. Just missed it. Yep. Eddie on the chat. I'm Gen X. Gen X, baby. No, my father was a boomer. Was my father? No, he wasn't a boomer. What's the boomer? Yeah, I guess the boomers are before us. My father wasn't a boomer. He was born in 1939, my father. So, he was a boy. He was too young for World War II to serve. He served in Korea. And then I was born. All right. Love you, love. Yes, Gen X is not bad. Right. 61 going on 15. I agree. Damon Dog. I'm right there with you, kid. I love you all. Thank you so much. All right, listen. We will talk later. I'll see you if you come around on Tuesday. Otherwise, the show will be available. Hopefully, I'll see you next week when we hang out on Fridays. I love our Friday get-together. And remember, we will win. Susie, 64 in May. Oh, okay. Hal Sparks owes you a birthday serenade. Well, I'll serenade you when your birthday comes along. I've done that before. I've done many a serenade on a birthday. You can ask Redfoot and Jim about that. All right, my friends. Thank you, Steve, again, for your membership. Thank you, Robin, for your gift membership. And Damon Dog for your membership, your booty boo, who is sleeping right behind us. Booty boo. All right, my loves. We will win. We will win. Because we're on the right side of history. We're on the right side of decency, dignity, democracy, humanity. Thank you for hanging out tonight, everyone. I'm so fortunate to know you. And you keep me motivated and going and, you know, staying, assaulting the barricades. I can't talk. It won't come, the words won't come out of my mouth, so. Who's that? Oh, hi, Tara Jr. Come over here. Say goodnight. Come in. Come here. You want to come? You want to come up? Okay. You hear him? Come up. Come up. And say goodnight to everybody. Okay. All right, hold on. I'm going to change the camera angle. Look at him. Look at what a good boy. This is Tara Jr. Tara Jr. Jr. I'm sorry. All right. Everybody wants to see you. All right. He's old. He's 15. He's got arthritis. So he can't jump. And he doesn't like his back legs being touched, but that's probably what happened. So he can't jump anymore. He just puts his arms up. He reminds me of my nephew when he does that. When my nephew was little, he used to go, pick me up, pick me up. And I would pick him up and flip him and stuff. Now my nephew's taller than me, so I can't do that. And I remember when he was little, I used to say, I better do this now because one day I won't be able to. You'll be too big. And that's how time flies. All right, my loves. I will see you during the week. I'll see you on Tuesday. Subscribe to my Substack. Yes, and Ray is in a cone. Okay? For those who don't know, Ray had something wrong with him. Everything is falling apart in the house. We went from Francis Jr. being in a cone to Ray being in a cone. He had a hematoma thing on his ear. His ear filled up with blood like a balloon. And apparently that's a thing that had never happened to any of my cats before. So he had an operation to have the blood. He had to have it like sucked out of his ear. And he's scratching up a storm. He hates it. He's supposed to be getting the cone and the stitches out on Thursday. So isn't that funny? Everybody's in it's like these cats went from one to another in the cone progression. I gotta have a cat in a cone, it seems, at one time. But yeah, I never saw that before. His ear blew up but it ended up, I didn't know what the hell happened. I was petting him one day and his ear looked like somebody blew it up like a balloon. And the doctor said they could either leave it. It's because he was scratching. He must have broke a blood vessel. And that happens sometimes. And he said that you could either leave it or suck the blood out. And but if you leave it, his ear, it would shrink. And it would become a cauliflower ear. And I was like, I don't want that for him. So I said, let's do the operation. So he's trying to get the cone off. Ray, come here. Come here. Come here. Poor thing. He's trying to get I'm going to have to scratch his head. Don't do that, honey. He's had enough of this cone. I've had enough too, because he's all day like. Does he get good reception? Yes. Poor boy. All right, I gotta go. I'll see you on Tuesday, okay? Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you soon.